The trail wasn't on any map. That should have been the first warning. Rachel found it, tracing the contours of a faded, decades-old hiker's guide she'd bought at a roadside antique store. A thin, unlabeled path wound off the main route, deeper into the woods, marked only by a faint symbol, a spiral etched in the margin. A shortcut, she'd said, though to where, none of them knew. Nathan led the way, machete in hand, hacking through overgrown brush. The deeper they went, the more the world changed. The trees were taller here, twisted into grotesque shapes, their bark slick and glistening as if wet. The air smelled thick, earthy, metallic, almost like blood. Chris, ever the skeptic, exhaled loudly. "We're going in circles." "No, we're not," Rachel shot back. "The map—" Her words faltered as the forest thinned, opening to a small clearing. In its center stood a stone well, old beyond reckoning. Its surface was covered in strange, curling inscriptions, their meaning lost to time. Thick moss climbed its sides, tendrils curling over the edge like fingers reaching inside. The well's mouth was wide and dark, an abyss swallowing the late afternoon light. A silence settled over the group, unnatural in its depth. No birds, no wind, just the five of them and the well. Lillian shivered. "This place feels wrong," Mark snorted. "It's just a well. People used to build these all the time." He ran a hand along the stone. "Probably dried up decades ago." Rachel was already snapping pictures. "It's incredible. There's nothing about it online. No records, no history." Chris peered into the void. "Anyone got a flashlight?" Nathan dug into his pack, pulled one out, and flicked it on. He shined the beam downward, but the light seemed to vanish before touching anything solid. No water, no bottom, just an endless, swallowing black. A strange pressure built in the air, as if the trees themselves were leaning in, watching. Chris shrugged. "Guess we found our mystery." Nathan, ever the daring one, grinned and dug into his pocket. He pulled out a quarter, holding it up between his fingers. "One way to find out if it's really bottomless." He flicked it into the darkness. No splash, no sound, just silence. And then, as they turned to leave, something echoed from the depths. A clink, not the sound of a coin hitting stone, the sound of something catching it. Nathan froze, his fingers still curled from where he had tossed the coin. The sound echoed in the well's throat, reverberating like a thing alive. A metallic clink, faint, deliberate, not the sharp ping of metal on rock, more like fingers closing around it. Chris exhaled sharply. "What the hell was that?" No one spoke. The air was thick, pressing down on them like a damp cloth. Nathan forced a laugh, though it came out weaker than intended. "Echo, maybe?" Rachel stepped forward, phone raised, recording. "No way. That was something catching it." Mark rolled his eyes. "Jesus, you guys are acting like we found the fucking Ark of the Covenant. It's a well. Sound travel's weird in enclosed spaces. Let's move on." But Chris, always the first to poke fun at superstition, suddenly grinned. "All right, if it's just an echo, let's test it." He dug into his pocket, pulled out a nickel, and held it up like an offering. "How about this? I wish I had a cold beer." He flicked the coin into the well. Silence. Then a second clink. Rachel gasped. "No way." Chris turned, smug. "See, just a trick of the acoustics." He slung his pack off his shoulders and unzipped the main compartment. "Now, if I really had a—" His words cut off. His hand emerged holding a single ice-cold can of beer. His face drained of color. He hadn't packed beer. He knew he hadn't packed beer. The others gathered around as he held it up. Beads of condensation ran down its aluminum surface, untouched by the afternoon heat. He turned it over in his hands, his breathing unsteady. "This isn't funny," he said. "Who put this in my bag?" No one answered. Lillian took a step back. "Guys, something is wrong." Nathan, ever the adrenaline junkie, snatched the beer from Chris's hands, cracked it open, and took a swig. His eyes widened. "It's real." He turned the can to show them. "Chris, this is your favorite brand." Chris didn't respond. His mouth was slightly open, his fingers twitching at his sides. Rachel, unable to resist, stepped forward and peered into the well's dark throat. "What are you?" she murmured. The carvings on the stone shimmered under the dying sunlight, twisting in ways that made her stomach clench. A nervous, buzzing energy spread among them. Fear, yes, but something else too. Possibility. Chris licked his lips. No way, no fucking way. But his fingers itched for another coin. Nathan smirked, already reaching into his pocket. The well had given them something. Now it was time to see how far they could push it. By the time the sun bled into the horizon, they had all made a wish. It started with small things. Nathan, emboldened by Chris's beer, flipped a coin into the well and whispered, "I wish for $100. Moments later, he dug into his backpack and pulled out a crisp stack of 20s, bound by a faded bank slip. Rachel went next. "I wish for my ex to message me," she said, tossing in a dime. Minutes later, her phone buzzed. She stared at the screen, her breath hitching. A text from Dylan. The same Dylan who had ignored her for over a year. "Hey, I miss you, thinking about you." Mark and Lillian hesitated, but their resistance crumbled beneath the electric thrill surging through the group. Mark, ever the athlete, wished to be stronger. "Like really strong," he added, before flipping a quarter into the abyss. Almost immediately, he flexed his arms and let out a stunned laugh. "Holy shit," he muttered, rolling up his sleeve. His veins stood out, thick and pulsing, muscles swollen as if he had spent months at the gym overnight. Lillian's turn. She bit her lip, hand trembling as she held a penny. I wish my migraine would go away." She had suffered from chronic headaches since childhood, the kind that turned light into knives and sound into thunder. As soon as the coin vanished into the darkness, relief washed over her. The pain, the dull pressure behind her skull, gone. Just like that. They sat around the well, drunk on the rush of it, laughing like children with a secret they weren't supposed to know. The night deepened, shadows stretching long, curling toward them like fingers. But none of them cared. Chris held up another coin. "Guys, we could—" Nathan clapped a hand over his mouth. "Careful, don't get greedy." Rachel scoffed. "Says the guy rolling in $100? Chris grinned, still riding the high. "Fine, but tomorrow we come back, right? We see what else this thing can do." Silence settled over them, each lost in thought. The well had given them things, but it hadn't taken anything. Had it? Lillian shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should stop." Nathan rolled his eyes. "Lillian, come on, this is once-in-a-lifetime shit. We're fine." They weren't. That night, as they lay in their tents, each one of them dreamt of something watching from the well. Not a shape, not a person, just hunger. And somewhere deep in the woods, the carvings on the well began to shift. The morning came, but something was off. Chris woke up first, stretching with a groggy groan. His mouth was dry, tongue heavy. He smacked his lips, tasting something metallic like rust. With a yawn, he ran his tongue along his teeth, then stopped. Something shifted in his mouth. He reached up, prodding his gums, and felt something loose. His stomach lurched. Slowly, he pinched a tooth between his fingers and pulled. It wobbled. Another touch, another gentle tug. The tooth slid free like a piece of wet chalk. Chris bolted upright, spitting into his palm. A second tooth dropped out slick with blood. He gasped, his breath turning shallow. The others stirred at the sound of him scrambling out of the tent, tripping over the zipper as he clawed his way to the clearing. Rachel sat up groggily. "Chris?" Chris was kneeling by the dying embers of the fire, his back hunched. His breath came in ragged, wheezing bursts. Nathan approached cautiously. "Dude, what—" Chris turned his head. His lips were smeared with blood, and in his trembling hands were 3 of his own teeth. A stunned silence fell over them. Chris swallowed hard. "They just fell out." His voice was tight, afraid. "What the hell is happening?" Lillian pressed a hand over her mouth, her face pale. "It took something," Nathan scoffed. "Don't start that shit." "Then explain this," Chris snapped, shaking his hand, blood spattering the ground. "I made a wish, and now this?" Rachel scrambled for her phone, scrolling frantically through last night's texts. "Dylan's messages are gone," she whispered, "like they never existed." She tried calling, but the number was disconnected. Mark rolled his shoulders, rubbing his biceps. "Maybe it's nothing. I mean, it's probably a coincidence, right?" But as soon as he said it, a sharp pop sounded from his wrist. He winced, gripping his arm. "What the—" His skin twitched. His veins bulged unnaturally, his muscles shifting beneath his flesh like something was rearranging. his jaw clenched, his knuckles cracking. He took a shuddering breath. Okay, not a coincidence. Nathan turned to Lillian, desperate. You wished for your migraine to be gone, right? Are you okay? Lillian didn't answer at first. Then, in a small voice, I can't remember what my mom's face looks like. The words hung heavy between them. The well had given them gifts. Now it was collecting its price. The morning air had changed, thicker, heavier, as if the well had exhaled something into the world. Chris sat apart from the others, clutching his own teeth like relics from a nightmare. He hadn't spoken since they'd tried to reason with him, since they'd tried to tell him it wasn't real. But they all knew better now. Mark kept flexing his fingers, rolling his wrists, watching the way his veins bulged beneath his skin, pulsing too hard, too fast. Every few minutes a new muscle would seize up, hardening into something grotesque before relaxing again. Something inside him was changing. Rachel, pacing, kept muttering, It's just stress, just stress. Maybe we got into some weird plant or fungus or... You really believe that? Lillian snapped, her voice tight with controlled panic. My memories are missing. They're just gone. She dug her fingers into her scalp, as if trying to press something back in. I know I had a brother, but I can't remember his voice, his name, his face. Her breathing hitched. I can't even remember what I forgot. Nathan stood by the well, hands on his hips, staring into the abyss. Maybe we just need to ask for it back. Chris let out a wet laugh, spitting blood. You want to go bargain with it? Be my guest. Nathan ignored him, pulling a handful of coins from his pocket. He hesitated for only a moment before tossing them in. Clink, clink, clink. I want Chris's teeth back, he said firmly, and Lillian's memories. Silence. The well yawned before them, its black throat swallowing the sound. Then, clink. A coin landed back at Nathan's feet. The group froze, no wind, no movement. The well had returned his offering, a refusal. Rachel took a step back. It doesn't do take-backs. A sound drifted up from below, not a voice, not even a whisper, just movement, wet, heavy, like something shifting against stone. Chris stood, his body trembling. We need to get the hell out of here. Nathan ran a hand through his hair, exhaling hard. Agreed. They gathered their things in frantic silence, stuffing sleeping bags into packs, tearing down their tents with shaking hands. Then Rachel gasped, Where's Mark? They spun, looking around the clearing. The trail leading out of the woods was empty. No footprints, no sound. And then they saw it. Mark's boot resting at the edge of the well. One boot. Just that. And nothing else. Rachel was the first to move, lunging toward the well's edge. Nathan grabbed her arm, yanking her back before she could get too close. Don't, he warned. His voice was low, urgent. Whatever's down there, it took him. Rachel wrenched free, panic wild in her eyes. Mark, she screamed, her voice cracking. She cupped her hands around her mouth, peering into the well's gaping throat. Mark, can you hear me? No answer. Chris staggered closer, eyes darting to the discarded boot. It lay there like a severed limb, the laces untied, the leather still warm from Mark's body heat. Lillian whimpered. He was right here. He was... She broke off with a choked sound, one hand pressing against her temple. Her pupils flickered, unfocused. I can't, she gasped, eyes filling with tears. I don't remember his face. Rachel froze, breath hitching. What? Lillian clutched at her head. I know Mark. I know him, but I don't remember what he looks like, his voice, anything. Nathan paled. That's not possible, but it was. Because as they stood there, cold dread creeping through them, the truth settled like a stone in their stomachs. Mark wasn't just gone. He was being erased. Rachel turned to Nathan, desperation cracking her voice. We have to get him back. Chris let out a harsh laugh. How? You saw what happened when Nathan tried to bargain. He pointed at the well. That thing doesn't give back, it only takes. Rachel's face twisted in frustration. We can't just leave him. Mark is already gone. Chris's voice was flat, but his hands were shaking. We need to leave before we're next. Nathan hesitated, but the look in Chris's eyes, the sheer fear, told him everything. We move, he said, grabbing his pack. Now. Rachel refused at first, lingering near the well, her gaze darting between the dark opening and Mark's lone boot. Her lips trembled. Then a sound rose from the depths, a deep, wet sigh. Not Mark, not human. Rachel bolted. They ran without looking back, feet pounding against the dirt. The trees around them felt closer, their trunks pressing in. The air thickened, humid and wrong, like breath against their skin. They didn't stop until they burst onto the main trail, gasping for air. Chris bent over, hands on his knees. We made it. Then Rachel whispered, "Wait." They turned. The well. It was right behind them. They had run, but they hadn't left. Rachel's breath hitched as she stumbled backward, staring at the impossible sight before them. The well, its moss-covered stone lip and shifting carvings, sat just a few feet away, exactly where they had started. Nathan turned in a slow circle. No, we ran. His voice cracked. He pressed his fingers into his temples, his breathing uneven. Chris wheezed, dropping to his knees. "This isn't real," he muttered. "This can't be real." Lillian let out a strangled sob. "We didn't move. We ran for miles and we're still here." The forest pulsed around them, ancient and watchful. The towering trees loomed impossibly high, their bark splitting in jagged patterns like jaws. The air was thick with decay, the scent of rotting wood, damp moss, and something sweet, something hungry. Rachel gritted her teeth, her hands curling into fists. "We'll go again. Chris's laughter cut her off, harsh, bitter, unraveling at the edges. He held up his shaking hands, fingers smeared with blood from his missing teeth. "And then what? We keep running, we keep trying. You think it's going to let us go?" He turned wild, red-rimmed eyes on her. "It wants us here." Nathan spun on him. "Shut the hell up!" But Chris wasn't listening. He was staring at the well, his lips trembled. "I think I get it now," he whispered. The others froze. "Chris!" Lillian's voice was barely a breath. Chris swayed, eyes glazed, something pulling him toward the well like an invisible thread wrapped around his ribs. His lips moved, barely a whisper. "We took too much. It wants balance." And then he was moving. Rachel lunged for him. "Chris, no!" But he was faster. Chris ran, his footsteps light, effortless, as though the ground itself was guiding him toward the well's hungry mouth. Nathan grabbed his arm, but the moment their skin touched, something cold rushed up Nathan's arm, numbing him from the inside. His grip loosened, his fingers sluggish, his own strength drained away. Chris turned, smiling through the blood in his mouth. "It'll take us one by one." Then he pitched forward into the well's throat. No scream, no impact, just silence. Rachel staggered back, her breath hitching, hands shaking. "No!" A clink sounded from the well. Chris had made his wish, and now the well had claimed him. Chris was gone, not just fallen, taken. The well had swallowed him without a sound, and now its mouth sat wide and waiting, as if licking invisible lips, savoring the taste of what it had just consumed. Rachel turned away, bile rising in her throat. "We have to leave. We have to." "We tried," Lillian whispered, voice hollow, "and it brought us back." Nathan ran shaking hands through his hair, his breath coming in uneven bursts. "Then we do something different." His eyes locked onto the well's opening. "We find out what's inside." Rachel spun on him. "Are you insane?" "We don't have a choice." Nathan's voice was strained, but there was a dark certainty in it. He pointed at the trees. "Look around. The woods aren't normal. We could run for days and never leave." He hesitated, swallowing hard. Chris understood. The only way out is through. Lillian clenched her fists, nails digging into her palms. "You're saying we climb in?" A long silence. Nathan exhaled sharply. "Yes." Rachel shook her head. "No, absolutely not. I'm not going down there." But Lillian was already moving. Before she could second-guess herself, she swung a leg over the stone lip of the well. It was warm, almost feverish against her palms. The second she touched it, the carvings beneath her hands shifted, writhing like living things. The moment she lowered herself inside, the air changed. It wasn't just cooler, it was thicker, syrupy and damp, pressing against her skin like unseen hands. The rope ladder along the inner wall was ancient, the fibers brittle, flaking away under her fingers. Nathan followed, his jaw tight, movement stiff with fear. Rachel cursed but climbed in after him. The descent felt endless. The deeper they went, the stranger the world became. The well's walls pulsed, moist and alive, the stone beneath their fingers rippling like flesh. The air was laced with a sickly sweetness, thick and cloying, a scent that made their stomachs churn. Rachel gagged. "This isn't right. This isn't—" Then the rope snapped. They plummeted. The world spun, gravity shifting, flipping them into freefall. Their screams were swallowed by the dark, the well stretching, expanding, turning inside out. Then they landed. The impact knocked the breath from their lungs, but it wasn't rock beneath them. It was something soft. Lillian rolled over, heart hammering. She reached out, fingers pressing into the ground. It was flesh. A cavern stretched before them, its walls lined with pulsating veins, the air thick with the scent of decay and something far worse. Something moved in the darkness. A voice echoed, low, many-voiced. More. Then the darkness breathed. The cavern breathed around them, a slow, rhythmic expansion, like the inhalation of something impossibly large. The walls twitched, a ripple of movement that sent a fresh wave of decay-laced air washing over them. Lillian gagged, pressing a hand over her mouth. Oh my God. Nathan turned in slow, disbelieving circles, his flashlight beam struggling to illuminate the vastness around them. The walls were not stone. They glistened, slick with moisture, a deep crimson hue that pulsed in time with an unseen heartbeat. Veins the width of tree roots snaked along the floor, disappearing into the shadows. And the floor. Rachel staggered back, her foot sinking slightly. She looked down. Hair. The ground was made of matted, tangled human hair. A low, wet voice slithered through the air. More. The three of them froze. Rachel's breath came in quick, shallow bursts. That wasn't an echo. Nathan's flashlight flickered. Something shifted at the far end of the cavern. A hulking, slithering mass that was neither flesh nor shadow, but somewhere in between. It unfolded, stretching toward them, many-limbed, many-mouthed, many-eyed. Chris was there, or what was left of him. His skin was part of the walls now, his face stretched unnaturally, his mouth open in a silent scream. His fingers twitched, embedded in the cavern like an insect trapped in amber. His eyes rolled toward them. Lillian choked back a sob. "Oh, Chris," the voice laughed. It came from everywhere. "You took," it whispered. "You feasted. Now the debt must be paid." Nathan clenched his fists. "We never agreed to any of this." The cavern shuddered. A deep, grating hunger radiated through the air, more felt than heard. "Then offer another," the voice hissed. Rachel's blood ran cold. "What?" "The well must feed," it crooned. "One of you must stay. The others may go." The three of them stood frozen. Lillian's fingers twitched at her sides. She looked between Nathan and Rachel, her breath coming in shallow bursts. Rachel shook her head, eyes wild. No, we are not playing this game." Nathan's voice was hoarse. "It's a trick. It won't let any of us go." "Perhaps," the voice sighed, "but without a gift, you will all belong to me." Silence. Rachel trembled. "There has to be another way." Lillian's gaze flickered to Chris, to the way his skin had fused with the walls, the way the well had claimed him. She took a step forward. Nathan grabbed her arm. "Lillian, don't!" But she was already reaching for the blade at her hip. "I'll do it," she whispered. The cavern purred. Nathan lunged forward, grabbing Lillian's wrist before she could make the cut. "No, we don't have to do this." She turned to him, her eyes hollow, her skin pale. "Yes, we do." Her voice was eerily calm. "It won't stop. It will keep taking. You saw what it did to Chris, to Mark." She swallowed hard. "I won't let it take all of us." Rachel trembled beside them, her mind spinning. We can fight it, we can—" But the thing in the cavern shifted, expanding, its many mouths grinning. "Time is running out," it whispered, its voice vibrating inside their bones. "Choose, or you all stay." Nathan tightened his grip on Lillian's arm, desperation in his eyes. "There has to be another way." Lillian smiled, a sad, knowing smile. Then she yanked free. Before Nathan could react, she turned the knife inward. Rachel screamed. Nathan caught her as she collapsed, blood spilling between them warm and fast. Lillian gasped, shuddering as she fell to her knees. The cavern shuddered. The walls rippled. The well sighed in satisfaction. A deep rumble filled the space, and suddenly the air pulled inward, a great exhale before a final breath. The cavern walls convulsed, the flesh receding, the many mouths stretching wide in a soundless scream. The well was sated. Rachel clutched Lillian's face, sobbing. No, you idiot, you stupid self-sacrificing." Lillian's lips parted, but no sound came. Her body twitched once, then went still. Nathan let out a shuddering breath, his throat raw. "She did it," he whispered. The cavern was collapsing. The pulsing walls peeled away, the darkness unraveling around them. The ground beneath them trembled. And then they were falling. Nathan hit the ground first, hard. He gasped, choking on dust and cold air, his hands dug into dirt. Dirt, not flesh. Rachel landed beside him, coughing violently. They were back. The clearing, the trees, the well, but no Lillian. Nathan pushed himself up, his hands shaking. The well stood before them, its carvings still writhing, its moss-covered lip damp with something dark. Rachel sobbed, clutching her chest. "She's gone." Nathan couldn't answer. His throat felt full, like something had lodged itself inside him. Guilt, grief, a debt unpaid. The well had taken what it wanted, for now. Rachel wiped her face, her fingers trembling. "We're leaving." Nathan nodded numbly. They didn't look back. They never spoke about it again. But years later, in the quiet hours of the night, Nathan sometimes heard it, a whisper in the dark. Not a voice, not even a sound, just the feeling of something waiting. And somewhere, deep in the woods, the well still stood, its hunger never truly gone, waiting for the next fool to ask for more than they could afford to give. Hey guys, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Thanks.